Hello, it's Sarah from Hardcover Hearts, and I'm here with my week of reading wrap-up. This is where I talk about the books that I read this week, what I'm currently reading, and could potentially read next week if the mood suits. So I hope everyone is well and healthy. I'm doing very well. We have not left our one-bedroom apartment in 5 weeks. We went out once for a walk, about a 40-minute walk, and the terror and fear was just too much, so we decided to not do that again. So we are really sheltering in place here. So at the end of the day, I'm not as free to just kind of dive into a book as I used to be, but I am reading, and what I've read this week was phenomenal. And so I think this is probably my new norm. I'm probably going to read about 3 books a week, as opposed to my normal like 6 or 7. And this is just where it is, and it's fine. It's absolutely fine because what I read this week was so remarkable and has left such an impact on me. So I want to get to that right now. So the first up, I did a buddy read with Kate Howe, and we did this. This is Nancy Mitford's Love in a Cold Climate. I don't think Kate nor I were adequately prepared for how nuanced and different this book is from her previous work. And so her other book that we had both read was The Pursuit of Love. And that has so much whimsy and snark and wild characters, larger than life characters, based in essence on the Mitford family themselves. So she had a treasure trove of material to pull from, but it's vibrant and it's buzzing and crackles with wit and humor, and it's just a delight to read. This, on the other hand, Cold Climate, no doubt, well titled. This has a remove and a frostiness to it. There is something not beating. There's no heartbeat at the center of this book, and I think it took both Kate and myself to finish it, to reflect back and realize why that heartbeat was missing, and it's pretty profound and pretty interesting. So this is a book that I mean, if you're like us and you go into it thinking you're going to get snazzy, jazzy repartee and witty banter, you're going to be surprised, but it pays off. This is the story of Fanny, who is our main narrator. She is an extended cousin of the same family that we met last time, and she is being asked to go stay at Lady and Lord Montdore's estate because they've returned from India, and their daughter Polly, who used to be someone that she was friends with and played with when they were children, is not in a good way, and they're trying to bring her out in society because she needs to get a husband before her expiration date. So we see her reuniting with Polly, and we see this family through Fanny's eyes. And from page 1, we're introduced to a character. They call him Boy. His name is Boy, and he is the brother-in-law of Lord and Lady Montdore. But he's also a lecher. He's also a perv. He's been known, the girls joke about not being left alone with him. He's really an odious character, and he starts in the very, very first page. I do not want to spoil this, and so I'm so hesitant to talk too deeply about this, except to say that what I think Nancy Mitford has done here is that she has written something that is so subtle that you could completely miss it. And so, like I said, watch the heartbeats and where they don't exist in this book, and ask yourself why. And that, to me, was the key to unlocking this puzzle of this book. And it was only really in retrospect when Kate and I were talking about it and really thinking about Polly as a character and her choices and her reactions and her behaviors that it all came into focus. I think this speaks very, very strongly to the joys of a buddy read and how much that activity of reading together, kind of sitting side by side and reading and having conversations throughout a book and checking in as you go is such a delightful experience because it can show you things that you might otherwise miss. So Nancy Mitford, you did it again. I'm continuing on with your oeuvre. I'm very happy that I read this. And thank you, Kate. I look forward to many, many more buddy reads with you. Next up, for aussieapril, thrilled by this one. This is The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart by Holly Ringland. Also, very plotty book. So it'll be difficult for me to talk too much about this without giving away really beautiful spoilers that I don't want. I want people to go into this as I did, where the experience was just wide open. This book goes a lot of different places, and at its core is it's a story of a young girl coming out of an abused family. Her father has isolated her mother and herself away from this coastal town, and she's deeply in love with her mother, and they do gardening together. Her mother loves flowers, and they speak to each other in the language of flowers, and this kind of builds this love of language and also love of the natural world for our main character. Something happens, a tragedy happens, and she ends up having to go to her grandmother's farm inland, far away. She never even knew she had a grandmother, and this is her father's mother. So there are a lot of secrets in this family. There are a lot of things that people want to talk about and they don't know how. What I loved about this book is there were a few times where I got really, really nervous that they were going to pull some plot devices, those coincidences where so-and-so has always looked for something. This other person has always sought that same thing out. Therefore, they must be connected and related. And I'm so glad that those strings were never tied. Because it made this more of an authentic read. I would have felt manipulated if that had happened. And I love where it ended. It didn't end anywhere where I thought it would. It ended in such a logical, lovely place, but not where I thought it was. So this was, for my first aussieapril read, this was a slam dunk. I highly recommend it, and you could just sink into it. The writing was really, really beautiful, and nature writing, young girl story. I thought it was sublime. And then too early, we already raced through our second Anita Brookner, and by we I mean Leo of A Little Book Life and myself. This is Providence by Anita Brookner. So this is my third Anita Brookner that I'm reading in a row. I started with Hotel de Lac and it knocked me out. I thought it was sublime. That was her fourth book. So then I was talking with Leo of A Little Book Life, and he had just received A Start in Life. It's also called, in other countries, The Debut. And we were laughing at how remarkable the very first sentence was. And we said, well, let's just read it together. And so we decided to do that. And another amazing buddy read. Leo and I both have a deep love for a beautiful sentence and a scene, a scene being set well. And Anita Brookner delivers that. I'm not sure if you can see all the little tabs here. But Leo and I would check in after every couple of chapters, and each time we wanted to read each other little snippets that we saw and talk about why that felt like it was resonant with us. This is the story of Kitty, and Kitty is really straddling two worlds her entire life. We were laughing because it talks about her race, that she, let me find the sentence, racial memories. And so being American, I thought that racial meant that she was maybe African, has some African descent or Arab descent or Asian descent. No, they're just talking about France and England. Nope, both white people on both sides. But that gives you a sense of the animosity that existed between the two countries. As we know from history. So she's straddling becoming a lecturer and a professor. She is in love with a professor who is having an affair with her, but with it seems that it's an affair of convenience for him. He's not putting a lot of time and effort into it, but it is consuming her. And she has her family that she loves deeply, her mother and her grandparents. Her grandmother is a seamstress and a very successful one. So she's always decking her out in gorgeous clothes, which gives her this look of poshness. And so she falls into this academic crowd because they don't really know a lot about her, but she's incredibly bright. So we see her struggle. She is struggling because the man that she loves is very faithful and believes in Providence and is in love with a woman that he asked to marry him, but she left and went on to become a nun with Mother Teresa. So it's kind of a hard, that's a hard one hard shoes to fill, right? But at the same time, she also she's trying to figure out who does she want to be and how does she want to be, and to reconcile these different, all of these juxtapositions that are happening in her life. It feels like she needs to choose. She's not able to reconcile them together. And so at multiple points, it feels like she needs to pick one or the other. Is she going to rely on her Englishness or is she going to acknowledge her Frenchness? Is she going to try to pursue this man or is she going to try to pursue her career? And I loved her character and I loved her friendship. There's another woman named Pauline in this book that I just love, Pauline and her mother. There's just so much here. It's not a huge plot. It's more internal, but the writing is fantastic. And just so happy I'm doing this project. So next up will be book number 3 with Leo next month. So that's what I read, right? I mean, exceptional. So now what I'm currently reading. So I'm continuing on. This is my buddy read and that I'm doing in a group of Belinda by Maria Edgeworth for our 18th century women novelists. And we finished our first check-in last week. We have our second check-in this Sunday. So looking forward to that. I'm going to be cramming this tomorrow, this evening and tomorrow. I admit I should be reading more. I did not get back to this. Sorry. I will, hopefully. I'm keeping it among my currently reading because that's my intention. So we shall see, but made no further progress there. And I am signed up for the second round of the BookTube prize. So I am reading one of the books there. I'm very lucky. I had already read 3, so I only have 3 to read this month and next month. So feeling very confident on that. Then I decided to treat myself and I downloaded the next Rhys Bowen, her Royal Spyness series. And this one's called A Royal Pain. Again, this is my light, relaxing, fun, just silly fare. This is a historical mystery with our main character, Georgie, who is 34th in line to the crown. But she's impoverished and she just gets herself in all of these wacky scenarios that are fun and funny and light and whimsical. And it's reading candy, I guess is a great way to put it. And I'm enjoying it very, very much, just flying through. Then for my in real life book club, we are reading The Remainder, and this is by Alia Trabucco Zerán, I think is how you pronounce that. This is part of our Booker International shortlist reading. So we need to get to that one. So I'll be doing that this week as well. So I have a lot on my plate in terms of current reading. But you know me, I always try to have something teased up for potentials. So I need your help, people. I know that some of you out there know this. And so help me decide between these two books, which do I start? I'm really in the mood for an immersive, emotional, maybe a baller, where I just sit there and just weep my eyes out. I found that reading The Lost Children Archive gave me so much catharsis as I read it, and just letting those emotions fly, that I think I need more. So two books that are in question are both by the same author. This is Kyung Shin. And this one is Please Look After Mom. I think that will devastate me. I know that Mel from Mel's Bookland Adventure said this one just had her weeping on the train. And then this is The Court Dancer. This is a historical novel. So which do I start with? Where do I start? Please let me know what you think in the comments below. I would love to have you weigh in if you've read either of these. And then I'm starting a buddy read. I'm so excited. 1,000 Ships by Natalie Haynes. So this is up for the Women's Prize. And this is a retelling of the Troy saga, the Trojan War, by women. So I really enjoyed Circe. I know there are a lot of people who did not. So I'm looking forward to this. I think it has potential. So I'm looking forward to, and I'm excited to do my buddy read. This will be the first time that she and I are reading together. So delighted about that. And then there's one that just arrived, book mail that just arrived. It was just published, and it's A Girl's Story by Annie Ernaux. This is by Fitzcarraldo. This was just released in translation, and I loved the years so much. So I think A Girl's Story might be something I jump into. Oh, her writing is just so good. So obviously I've got a bounty of riches right here to jump into. Please let me know if you've read any of these, what your thoughts were. Please help me figure out which of the books to read from Kyung Shin. And let me know how you're doing. I hope everyone's well. Please stay inside. Wash your hands. Don't touch your face. And other than that, I look forward to talking to you next week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you then. Bye.